Hey everyone, this is Mr. Everything, and as you can tell, I have my camera set up a little bit differently. I'm going to be doing this format, not for everything, but more often now because I have a bit of an area cleared out here. I could have did this before on my couch, but I don't know, I just thought I look like some arrogant no-life that just trolls the internet and the luxury of my couch. So this looks a little bit more professional. But the point of this is, if you watch Inside Sim Racing, they did a TX or Thrustmaster TX racing wheel mod to the pedals, and if you've been following my channel, I did an unboxing on that wheel, first impressions with Forza 5 and the Playseat Challenge, because that's a pretty popular combo, is Forza, the Thrustmaster TX, Xbox One, and the Playseat Challenge. So I figured, since some people are definitely watching because they probably saw that video and subscribed, so I'm going to cover that. And I did some modifications to it myself, so it's a little bit of an addition to it, a mod to the mod. So this is what the pedals look like if you just the ones that come with it, which they weren't bad because I had a Logitech DFGT and they were just totally plastic. These have metal faces, and there was a little bit more of a spring to this one. The gas feels pretty good, but the brake just really wasn't doing it. I mean, you could get used to it, and since I never had anything better, I didn't really mind. But with the T3PA pedals, which, by the way, why is Thrustmaster having such trouble keeping those in stock? I don't know. You'd think they would have more. I don't know, it's their loss, but I was planning on getting some, and they haven't ever come back in stock. So I really want the shifter, and I thought, why should I buy two? I'd rather just get one, but it's not worth it without better pedals. But just having this brake, even without the clutch, because you can run without the clutch, wouldn't be too much of a sacrifice. At least get the shifter while it's still somewhat in stock, and then maybe get the pedals later on down the line. But this is really gonna do it. And what the point is, you can go this far now, and then you have to press more, and it's more like an authentic brake. Because if you drive a car, I mean, I have a Dodge Stealth, which is a little bit more performancy, but it's still a street car with common parts. But when you press on the brake, you really don't just have a loose brake like this. There's progression, at least to some degree, on probably all cars, except for maybe electronic. But I don't really know why I want to drive an electronic car. But so let me just talk about that. I'll give some better shots on what I did and talk about the materials I used and how I found them. And I'm not going to do too much of how I'd actually do it, because obviously Darren already did a video on that. If you go to Inside Sim Racing's channel, and there's forums that described it, but I'm just going to show a little bit more up close and in depth. So hopefully you like this new style here I'm doing. I'll have to get some of the background maybe either moved out of the way and get the lighting better adjusted, but I'm just going to do that from now on, and I'll get to showing this next. For those of you that are kind of new to my channel or haven't been subscribed that long or seen too many of my videos, that might have been the first time you saw me. So hopefully I was sexy enough for you. And I kind of watched it back, and I noticed I was pretty much busting out of that shirt, but in all the wrong places. But on with this. So approximately, Inside Sim Racing said it would cost about $10, and that's about what it was. I picked up a few other things because I had to go to a ton of hardware stores. Kind of like a private one that didn't have anything I was looking for, except for this super glue. I had the liquid, and I suggest getting the gel. It's a lot easier to work with, and being thicker, it seems to be stronger. The vinyl pads, which they're called vinyl pads, but I also seen them called bumpers and rubber bumpers and stuff like that. These are 3/4 inch. I only found these at another private store I went to that was hardware, but they sell Ace Hardware stuff, so that's the only place I could find it, and there's only one left, so these might be a little bit harder to find. And the furniture grippers, I checked 2 different Walmarts, and they had a different brand that was, I believe, like 2.5 inches, which really isn't going to do it, because then this is all going to be too big, and you have to cut it as it is, and then the bigger it is, the thicker too, so that might interfere. So I had to go to Lowe's specifically to get these, and the bumpers were, with tax, about $5.30. The glue was like $1.99, and then these were $2.39. So basically, I'm not gonna, again, there's really no need to show how it's done. There's already a video that's better illustrated on how to do that. But this goes up against your brake, or you could put it on the actual frame, preferences, and then this is pretty much where you get your progression. But this took a little bit more work, because I just don't think you can press it enough. So when I get to the shot of the actual pedals and the mod on it, I had to get a knife and cut this down a little bit so I could get more progression on it. There just wasn't enough for me to press it down to get to the maximum threshold of the braking. If you have the software on your computer, you can see how far you're pressing your pedals down. And I'm not exactly sure how this works, but it seems when you press the pedal a certain amount, it has to kind of register. But if you get maybe between like 70 or more percent, if you don't go any further, it seems to automatically make that the maximum, like automatically calibrate it, and Forza does that too. But it's only like once you go past a certain point, I think, because they obviously can't just register it like at barely a press at all. But it seems to be just kind of like a fail safe in case your pedals are a little bit different than someone else's, that it'll automatically pick the maximum. But I couldn't even get it to go that far. If this, I could get it like 80% with as much pressure as possible. So again, I got a knife and I had to do a bunch of these. I tried shortening this. You could also try the 1/2 inch ones, but I didn't want to go make another trip, and I thought they probably wouldn't be big enough to hold up, so I stuck with the 3/4 and just cut it down so that it's more of, because you actually see the conical brake mod on the T3PA. It's conical meaning cone. This is more of a pyramid, but it cuts off, so it's not enough pressure because you get straight on to where it's heavier at, if that makes any sense. But instead of just trying to show it here, I'll just go ahead and show you the actual pedals, and maybe that'll make it a little bit more clear as to how I modified it to work for me better. Okay, so for like the final part of this, what I wanted to show, and hopefully I can get a good enough shot of this, is the first thing you'll do is get that gripper. Hopefully you can find one, whether you can get one at Walmart or not. They show up as other names and stuff like felt, even though they're made of rubber. But you want a rubber one because you want to have a little bit of resistance, that it'll move in a little bit. And I just dry fitted all this stuff at first just to make sure I even liked it. And basically after like 5 minutes, like 1 or 2 laps at Bathurst, it was already sliding off. So just peel it off. The adhesive's really easy to get off that little just foamy piece, and then just go ahead and super glue this down, because it really, even if you don't like this does such, it's all about probably 90% or more is in this bumper here. So you could actually just do that and be done with it. As a matter of fact, I actually put one of those on my gas too, just because I didn't like that plastic thunk. Like now it's more of a, it's still like that, but it's not like higher pitched, and it's a little bit smoother if you're hitting it down. It just feels a little bit better. So that's just personally what I did. But again, I like Darren's idea with the placement better. It's more like the actual conical brake mod, and really this can be user adjustable. Hopefully you can see how it almost looks like it's cut out more, like it comes up more like a square instead of sloped up like a triangle, because I just cut it. And I did this with probably like 7 or 8 different pieces until I finally found the right shape, because I was trying to go too small, and then this would just press in way too easy, because I was kind of testing mostly with my hand, and obviously it's easier to apply pressure with your foot. But just the unmodified, I couldn't press it more than 80% and get it to max out, because I guess I just wasn't going far enough. It was probably going to like here, and it won't calibrate as a full press that far. You have to go in a little more, and that's, for some people that might work. I have a play seat challenge, so I'm not like in the perfect position to have my leg fully extended to maybe get a little bit more pressure. But for me, it was way too strong, so I cut it in. And this is really the best way to customize it to however works for you. If you want it harder or softer, you could cut it even thinner and have even less resistance until you get down to the bottom. Another good idea, if you can find a different brand of these or manufacturer, or even really anything that's rubbery, obviously you want something kind of similar to this because you want the flat surface to glue it, but something a little bit softer, because this really wasn't made to be pliable so much, that to where you have to, it's like a hardened rubber. If you cut it down, you get a little bit more of that bend and flex to it, which was kind of hard because I was doing this with just the adhesive on this part until I got it right, and then the whole thing would slide a little bit. So when I glued it, I thought it would make it stiffer, but it didn't really. And lastly, all you really have to do to remove this then would just be to get a knife probably, and you could probably sand your surface flat and be able to try this again of a different type or thickness or whatever you want to do there. So I think it's not a permanent thing, but it's definitely going to hold up, at least I hope so. And you get plenty of extra ones, so if something would crack or just wouldn't hold up, you could probably again pretty cleanly remove that and try something new. So hopefully that helps you out. Again, I think the original guy, I can't remember his name, but obviously the idea was his, and I like Darren's placement, and then I like my mod to just kind of adjusting this, because again, I think 90% of what you do pretty much comes from how this works. So hopefully that fixes things up for you, and you can try this out. It is pretty cheap. You might have to do some hunting to get the parts, but it's definitely worth it. It feels pretty good. I'm not too big on lap times, but I think it helped out, and it just feels a lot better. So hopefully I can get a shifter soon and pair this with it and have fun sim racing. So hopefully that helped you. So hopefully I can get this video put on their comment section or something so other people can see it and see what I did. If you like that, subscribe, and thanks for watching.